what's going on in the world. That's also part of what we do. We try to do a nice mix of that on this show. And I want to start by talking about, the pink elephant in the room. We had Mayor Carolyn Goodman on the show Monday. And let me just start by saying this. I think this is important for me to say this. My relationship with the Goodmans. I've known Oscar Goodman for over a decade. We've been friends. We've been on good terms. I've had a drink with him a few times. Super nice guy. I love Oscar Goodman. I think he's a good dude. I thought he was a good mayor. I supported him. And I will always say that about Oscar. I don't know Carolyn Goodman as well. I've obviously, being a reporter and being in this town for 20 years, I've had plenty of situations where I've interviewed Carolyn Goodman. And I'll say this. She's always been nice to me. She's a very sweet, nice lady. I think she's kind-hearted. I think she cares about the city just as much as her husband does. I'm going to say that flat out right out of the bat. I really do think she's a nice person. And trust me, if you listen to this show, you know I don't always say those things about all politicians out there. Carolyn Goodman is a nice lady. With that being said, the things I'm about to say and the things we might say here over the course of the next few hours, at least I'll speak for myself, it could hurt my relationship with the Goodmans. It could. But I am not going to sit here on this show and not be honest. In 20 years of doing radio, I've always been honest on the air. That's not going to change today. And, sadly, if the Goodmans think I'm disrespecting them, that they're entitled to their opinion, but I have to speak the truth. And the truth is this. And, by the way, we're broadcasting live on YouTube, the Vegas Take as well. And I'm holding up a picture of the front of the Review-Journal, the newspaper. And it's a picture of Carolyn Goodman and a picture of Anderson Cooper with his hands over his face. Probably not a good look for Las Vegas. And we'll explain, at least I'll explain why I think he did that. Carolyn Goodman did an interview yesterday on CNN. As you know, she's been making the rounds. She was on MSNBC the day before. She's been making the rounds. She's been doing a lot of interviews. Now, up to that point, before the CNN interview, I'd say, well, she's done all right. She's giving her take. She's giving her side, even though I completely disagree. She was on our show on Monday. But she did not do herself any favors in this CNN interview. It made national news, so much so that CNN had Governor Sisolak on, Dina Titus, who's been on our show a bunch of times. She was on CNN yesterday. All reaction to the Mayor Carolyn Goodman interview. She said some pretty wacky things. And I'm going to say this right now, and it's my opinion, with all due respect. I think Oscar's a really smart guy. I do not believe Carolyn Goodman is a very smart person. Now, I'm just going to speak the truth here. And if that hurts my relationship with the Goodmans, so be it. I don't think Carolyn Goodman is a very smart lady, and I'll explain why. I have my reasons. We're going to play a lot of audio from this interview on CNN, but she basically said she was willing to use Vegas as a placebo, pretty much as guinea pigs. She said that in the interview. She's calling for all these places to be open. Well, instead of me talking about what she said, let's just start by playing some of the stuff of what she said. This is Carolyn Goodman on CNN with Anderson Cooper, talking about the opening of casinos, stadiums, and conventions. Have a listen to this.
You're talking about encouraging hundreds of thousands of people to come to Las Vegas. I get the financial losses people are suffering, which is awful, but you're encouraging, hundreds of thousands of people coming there in casinos, smoking, drinking, touching slot machines, breathing circulated air, and then returning home to states around America and countries around the world. Doesn't that sound like a virus petri dish? How is that safe?
What it sounds like? You're being an alarmist. I'm not. I've lived a long life. I grew up in the heart of Manhattan. I know what it's like to be with subways and on buses and crammed into elevators. I think you are by saying what you have just said.
Okay, so she doubled down on that, and she basically said tomorrow she is okay with stadiums, professional teams, she mentioned that, being open right now. I'm not sure there's one logical person that would agree right now that the fans are allowed to be in buildings and the NBA, the NHL, and all these professional teams should get going. That's what she said on the show. She doubled down on that, and she talked about our professional teams. That is ridiculous. I haven't heard a Republican say that. You hear a lot of people on the right that say you want to open up the economy. That's fine.
Well, you just did.
But but that's what I'm saying. There's not one. I know you don't believe that. Do you believe that every professional sport with fans should be going on right now? Do you think the Vegas Golden Knights should have 15,000 fans in the T-Mobile Arena? That's what That's what Carolyn Goodman thinks.
Based on what I've read just about the mortality rate, I wouldn't be totally against that, but obviously right now with what's going on, with how the general thought process across the entire country is that is not acceptable at this point. I don't think that you could get people in that position. I don't think that even if you opened up everything, just like if you opened up the Las Vegas Strip, I don't think that tomorrow you would actually be able to make any money because you would just be paying all your employees and there would be no revenue coming in. I think the same thing would apply for sporting events right now.
And I understand the money aspect of it, but I'm thinking, as I always do, I'm thinking more of the health aspect of it. And I'm telling you right now, there's not one scientist or doctor that believes that every professional sport should be going on right now. And our mayor would be totally okay with that. I think that's very dangerous rhetoric, and especially when you're on national television. If she wants to have that conversation with her husband or in private, I disagree with it, but that's fine. To go on national television, when, by the way, you don't even have the authority, and to say something like that is so irresponsible. But she went on here talking about social distancing once things get back open. Have a listen to this exchange.
So you don't believe there should be any social distancing? You don't believe that this is
Of course I believe there should be. Of course. How
do you do that in a casino?
That's up to them to figure out. I don't own a casino. I don't know anything about building
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You're the mayor of Las Vegas, and you want casinos to be open, even though you have no authority, thankfully, over casinos. But you say open them up, but you have no responsibility about how that would be done safely?
No, you're blurring. No, you're blurring.
You said it's not your job.
There. I am not a private owner of a hotel. I wish I were. And I would have the cleanest hotel with 6 feet figured out for every human being who comes in there.
First of all, her comment about a clean hotel, I would have it's just really bizarre. Is she on drugs, number one? Number two.
She's 81 years old.
Number two, well, you don't make that excuse when Donald Trump says idiotic things. He's in his 70s.
72 and 81, there is a major difference there.
Okay, well, then don't be the mayor. It's very simple. The bottom line here is she's saying the casino should be open. And Anderson Cooper asked her a very logical question. How do casinos practice social distancing? Well, the answer is they can't. If you're going to open up table games, you're sitting a foot or two away from somebody. Craps, basically every casino game, even slot machines, they're a foot or two away from each other. You can't practice social distancing if you open up a gaming casino. You just can't.
Oh, yeah, you can.
How?
You've seen
how?
You've been to the casino. I mean, they move those machines around so fast. They have so many workers that can do those type of things.
How can you have a table game?
You can. Well, a table game you probably can. You could probably have 3 or 4 at the craps table. You could probably have that. You could have slots specifically spread out. I mean,
wait, hold on a second.
You could have the start of a. You could probably play roulette. You could have the start.
People are not 6 feet away from each other playing roulette.
Okay, if
They're
you
just
have,
not.
I'm saying it would
the
have.
Table's what? 10 feet?
It would have to be.
15 feet?
It would have to be one-on-one, most likely with roulette.
A casino would never do that. You're paying, first of all, if you have one player per table, it's not worth the casino, if you want to talk about financials, it's not worth the casino opening up a table game if you can only have one person at a table. It's not. You think these strip casinos would do that? Of course not.
No, but I think they could definitely do it with slot machines. I think
6 feet apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think
you could easily? I mean, you've seen some of these casinos. They have massive grounds.
So you think if you're Steve Wynn or a casino owner, let's not open up any of the table games. Let's cut our slot machines down. And by the way, if you're going to put slot machines at 6 feet apart, you're going to have to get rid of a lot of the machines that they have.
Well, not get rid of them, but you have to move them. I mean, they're still going to keep the machines.
So you think
that's
doable? That's going to happen?
And you know that slot machines are where the casinos make the most of their money, right?
Not all the time.
I mean, they make a little bit.
Not in every casino.
You could still play blackjack, I would say.
How?
If the dealer had gloves and a mask on, you could play that.
But how could players practice social distancing?
Well, it wouldn't be a 3 or a 4 or a 7-person table. It would be a 1 or a 2-person table. That's how it would work.
And again, I'm telling you, in my opinion.
So what I'm saying, the casino can still stay open. And again, you're not factoring in that these casinos make a lot of their money on the slot machines. I mean, people, roughly 99% of people who play slot machines long-term lose.
I'll make another bet with you on the air right now that doesn't happen.
Okay, it's fine.
I mean, I'll bet whatever you want.
I'm not interested in making a bet. I'm just interested in expressing my opinion, Brian.
Okay, and I'm telling you that I disagree.
My opinion does not have a price right now.
Okay, well, I'm telling you 100% that's not going to happen. So there's no way that the strip casinos are going to say, well, let's only have 1 or 2 people at per blackjack table. Let's move our entire casino around and try to figure out how to put 6 people apart at slot machines. It's way too much work. You're not going to get the clientele. You've even said that if they open up the Strip. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think it's worth it for them to do it, number one.
No, I don't think I agree it's not going to take place, but I think it is feasible. Now, down the road, once there's 15 or 20 states open, then that conversation changes. But then, right now, you realize what's going on is the whole entire narrative of this, it's changed. It's no longer flatten the curve. It's eradicate the virus from the face of the earth. We can't open up until just like Anderson Cooper's little picture where he showed the Chinese restaurant and he called Mayor Goodman ignorant. And he said, "Well, one person can infect 9."
Okay, we'll get to that.
Well, if that's the case, then technically we can't open up anything anywhere until the virus is eradicated off the earth. So
I have that audio.
I have a real problem with what's going on with how it was low. Let's flatten the curve, and now it's like wait. Okay, so the curve is flattened. Now let's eliminate the virus from the planet. Otherwise, nothing can open. Doesn't matter what happens to jobs. By the way, we're up to 26.2 million people that are unemployed. Doesn't matter what kind of economical damage we have. But if we can't get this virus off the earth, nothing can open. I have a huge problem with that.
Okay, so I want to try to focus on the cuts that we're playing,
Sure.
one cut at a time. We're going to get to that cut, and when we do get to that cut, I do want to get your opinion on that. But I want to focus on what she's saying, one cut at a time, if we can. So this next cut, she talks, and this is where I have a serious problem. She talks about competition in the free market in regards to the coronavirus. This is where it starts to get really wacky. Have a listen to this.
Okay, you said in another interview, you said, quote, let the businesses open. Competition will destroy that business if, in fact, they become evident they have a disease, they're closed down.
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple.
Yes.
Do you stand by that? Because it would take weeks, as I think you probably know, before anyone realized a place was a epicenter of viral infection. I mean, that it would take weeks for that would actually to show up. You're comfortable with that?
You're a very good interviewer. I've watched you for years, and you're wonderful. And I'm not going down that road. I am sticking with what I'm asking for. Please, our governor.
I'm focused on what you're saying, Madam Mayor, and what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Get me to say something. No, that's your opinion of what you think I'm saying, and I am being very clear.
Okay, so basically, he's reading a quote that what she said in a prior interview. And what she said in that prior interview is basically this. Open up these restaurants, and then if there's a virus or something isn't clean there and a virus, outbreaks from that restaurant, then we'll deal with it then. And Anderson Cooper's statement is, but that might not show up for a couple weeks. We might not know if a pizza parlor opens up and they're not practicing social distancing and people get infected. We won't know right away. We won't know till weeks later. And then those infected people are outside of that restaurant. It's a very simple point. And he's only going by the words that she said in a prior interview, and she didn't want to talk about it.
Yes.
I find that very problematic.
And I find it problematic that he would not stop. He would not. She
wouldn't answer the question.
So does she have to answer every single question?
Okay, I'll respond to that.
I don't think she does.
I'll respond to that.
If she feels like
it's
going to compromise the city of Las Vegas and her personal reputation, and that's what Anderson Cooper was trying to do. The whole interview was gotcha based.
Disagree with that.
He was very pompous. He was very disrespectful. And you have to. I mean, I thought Mayor Goodman did a good job saying I don't because she recognized, despite the fact that she's 81 years old.
Okay,
she recognized.
Stop saying she's 81. That's not an excuse for putting us at risk.
I'm not
saying stupid things.
How is she putting us at risk?
Okay, well, let me answer your question. You asked me a question about if she doesn't want to answer the question.
I'm going to say I'm not going to say she's an unintelligent human being, bro.
Okay, well, let me respond to it.
I'm going to say she's 81 years old.
Okay, fine. Let me respond to what you just said.
I think that she tried. She made a conscious effort. The door just flew open. But that's what happens when you do your show in Brian's kitchen, by the way. But I think that she was trying, and I appreciate what she tried to do by not answering that question. And Anderson Cooper, the pompous prick that he is, wouldn't let her do it.
Okay, well, I think it's idiotic what you just said.
That's fine.
First of all, to call him a pompous prick and then not to put anything
Brian, he's a Vanderbilt.
Okay, if I could just continue. To call him a pompous prick and to attack Anderson Cooper, but to defend everything that Mayor Goodman says is ridiculous, in my opinion. That's number one.
I didn't defend everything she said.
Well, you have so far. You haven't criticized her for anything so far. That's number one. Number two, he is going by the words that she has said in a prior interview. Now, if she doesn't want to talk about it or she wants to back off those comments, she could say, you know what? I said that before. I don't feel that way now. It's called accountability. When a politician or anybody for that matter says something on the record that is ridiculous, and by the way, what she said about the free market and these businesses was ridiculous, Anderson Cooper's trying to get her to be held accountable. It's the same reason in some of these press conferences with Donald Trump, when the press tries to hold him accountable, and then everybody on the right says, oh, you know what, you're trying to get him in a gotcha moment. This is not a gotcha moment. He's trying to hold her accountable for the things she said. Let's move on. Talking about testing. As we know, testing is extremely, extremely important in this scenario. We don't have enough tests, right? So Anderson Cooper asked her about testing. Have a listen to this.
In fact, you're calling for businesses to reopen. Every
Yes.
scientist and person, who looks at this says what we really need to do that is more testing and more
You're saying
contact tracing.
That can't work. We're not getting the truth. And I know over the years, going back to the 1950s with the atomic bomb, don't worry about it when we're testing in Nevada. You'll all be fine. Take a shower. The reality is
you're the one saying you'll all be fine. What we're saying is testing and contact.
You're putting words in my mouth. I said, open up Las Vegas.
She says, open up Las Vegas, even though she has literally done nothing to help us with testing. And yeah, I know she says it's not my job, but Anderson Cooper said, wait a second, you're not willing to roll up your sleeve and do what the mayor in L.A. is doing. You're not willing to roll up your sleeve and make sure we have enough tests here, yet you're saying, well, it's not my job, let's just open up. I think anybody could come to a conclusion that that's inappropriate for her to do. Now, let's go to the China thing. Asked about this Chinese study, and I just want to set it up for...
I would like to comment on the last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
If that's okay with you. Right now, the testing, if you're talking about COVID-19 testing, Sisolak is actually discussing random testing. People that may have the disease, that don't know they have the disease because they don't have any symptoms for it. He's talking about actually pulling people out and forcing them to be tested randomly. I think that is insanity because you can have the virus and you can lose it in 2 days. You can not have the virus and you can pick it up the next day. The one thing that you cannot get rid of in your system is the antibodies. That is a consistent thing. That is a protein that you develop to the pathogen. That's the most important test. I am all for widespread antibody testing in Nevada for that reason. And for another reason, I think this virus got here a long time ago. And I've said that for a long time. And I believe that if it was here and running rampant and our pneumonia rate wasn't extremely high and our flu death rate wasn't extremely high or something along those lines, then I don't think the virus is as deadly as it seems. So if you want to talk about testing, if you're talking about COVID testing on a random scale, that's insanity to me. But if you're talking about antibody testing and you say, hey, we recommend that everyone gets, and it's a prick of your finger. It's nothing, overly invasive, we'll say. But if you talk about antibody testing, to me, I think that's what Nevada and that's what New York City just did it. They just came up with the first round of preliminary antibody testing shows 21.2% of New York City, which is 8.2 million people, actually has the virus. That means, so right now, the actual caseload is 138,000 with 35,000 deaths, which is crazy. But 138,000 have the virus, apparently. Well, what they're saying now, based on the antibody testing, is that 13 times that much actually have the virus, which drops the mortality rate by 13 times. So I think that antibody testing is the most necessary thing. And if Anderson Cooper is trying to put her down push her down the road of, or even you trying to push her down the road of not helping with COVID-19 testing, why would you test someone for COVID-19 who doesn't have symptoms for it?
Okay, so I'm just trying to focus on that cut, and nothing in that cut was mentioned in regards to antibody testing.
Well, no, it's testing in general.
Basically, the point of that cut is, and Anderson makes a very good point. I'm sure you'll disagree with everything he says, but that's fine. The mayor in L.A., who she's very good friends with, has done a lot to try to help people get tested in that community. He has been very involved. She has done nothing in regards to antibody test or any type of testing. She's done nothing. I think that's the gist of that cut, and that's the point he was trying to make, and I think he made it very well. So we could be talking about any type of test. She hasn't done enough, or anything for that matter, and she admitted that, by the way. She gets an email from somebody, she just sends it, to the health department. But we got to take a break, and when we come back, we have more cuts that we want to play. And we will continue to do that and take some of your phone calls as well. Your thoughts on Mayor Carolyn Goodman, 702-257-5396. Jimmy Kimmel He made some very interesting comments on his show last night on social media about Mayor Carolyn Goodman. Jimmy Kimmel used to call Las Vegas his home. We have cuts from Governor Sisolak. He made an appearance on CNN. We have Dina Titus, Congresswoman here in Nevada. She made comments on CNN as well. So we're going to play all those cuts for you. And like I said, we have a lot more to get to, including, JD brought it up, this Chinese study that Anderson Cooper put up on screen. And Anderson basically called her, said it was an ignorant statement she made. We'll tell you exactly what that statement was coming up next.